So I'd like to call up the DOE grant recipient panel. You all know who you are, and I'll announce you here in a second as soon as I get my slideshow back up here. So up on the stage, I'd like to welcome Mr. William J. Hunneman, Senior Advisor for Cybersecurity for U.S. DOE, Seth Bromberger, EVP for the Energy Security Consortium, EnergySec for those of you that are short of breath, Craig Miller, the Project Manager for the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association. Do not refer to it as Enrica.
Thank you.
Dr. Hal Ulrich could not make it in because he had another, I guess, some sort of customer emergency. So subbing for him, we have Michael Dern, who's the Technical Director for Information Assurance with Cypress, and Annabelle Lee, Technical Executive for Cybersecurity for EPRI, and of course, Jay Ritchie Carroll, Senior System Architect for the Grid Protection Alliance. Is Jay Ritchie here? Oh, I guess Jay Ritchie didn't make it. Strike Jay Ritchie. That's okay, we got enough people here. So, the reason I wanted to put together this panel is I wanted to, I think it's important to highlight and to understand that when we're dealing with critical infrastructure and cybersecurity and the smart grid, the public-private partnership is actually critically important. And the U.S. Department of Energy was given a big chunk of money to hand out to people to take on specific tasks and projects. And I wanted to highlight that and have an opportunity for all of you to know what's going on and where your tax dollars are being spent, because you paid for this. So to start this off, I'd like to start with Mr. Hunneman. Mr. Hunneman, could you, the DOE has invested a substantial amount of money in addressing smart grid security. How much has been invested, and what does the DOE hope to achieve from this investment?
First off, the grants, the $3.2 billion that went into the grants, were not exclusively focused on security. This was a wide variety of activities. The activities range from installing new meters, advanced meters, lots of infrastructure improvement in various places, down to and including things like building storage facilities to do frequency management. It's a wide spectrum of activities. It was, in fact, an effort to start the modernization process. It did not have an exclusive focus on security. One of the things that we did require was each of the grantees, when they submitted a proposal, they had to include a cybersecurity plan as part of their package. That was included in the evaluation and the final determination of who got the individual grants. Once the grantees were identified, then a team of subject matter experts in cybersecurity evaluated those plans and started working with the grantees on how to improve their cybersecurity applications. As I said to you yesterday, some of the plans were very, very good. Some of them were significantly deficient. All of the plans have been through a process. The process is work with the utilities to upgrade those plans. Many of the grantees have started trying to implement or working to begin implementing the requirements and the like in the NIST IR 7628. That was not in existence when the initial plans were written. Most of the grantees included in their plan a commitment to try to begin implementing the points coming out of the current cybersecurity efforts. The profiles that Darren is working on and the NIST IR. The other point to keep in mind is this $3.2 billion is roughly a 50-50 cost sharing. One of the things that some of you may not be aware is the utilities are spending their own money. Then they submit the invoices to DOE, who then approves it and pays it. So the individual organizations are spending their money up front to go do the work. and the government's reimbursing them for roughly half of it. It varies a little bit, but in general, it's a 50-50 cost sharing. It is starting to become successful. Results are starting to be realized. Jobs are being formed, work is being done, meters being installed. There are some lessons that are being learned right now in the cyber. Our P&L offices, efforts are beginning to collect those, and the intent is to make those lessons learned available to everybody.
Thank you very much. So I guess the next question would be to the rest of the panel. So you've all been given this money to do various tasks. Could you just give the audience one by one a brief overview of what you've been given the grant for and what progress you've made so far? Fair question, right?
Sure it is, Mike. Thanks, and thanks for letting me sit in on behalf of Hal Aldridge. I appreciate the opportunity. I hope I can do it justice for him. Cypress Electronics is historically a company that has done a lot of work with the DOD in terms of key management, key distribution. We do a lot of sensitive type activities. Within this specific project, we've been given an award to develop key management solutions for smart grid. So within that, obviously we had some of the discussion earlier about the importance of it. I think everybody recognizes it, which is exciting, but it's scary at the same time. I think there's a lot of challenges there. Our specific project, though, has just started. So, we're just now beginning to understand, what the DOE's requirements are. We're excited about working with some of the awardees on the utility side and seeing where their key management needs are, and then working with other vendors and some of the other awardees within security to see where some of the needs are. So, we're kind of getting our feet wet now. I think we got our award last week, so we're just getting going.
Great, thank you very much. Annabelle of EPRI?
The award that EPRI received, and Seth will talk about the other part of this, it's really a two-part award, and everybody goes, what's the difference between NESCO and NESCOR? I think it's, to clarify, it's really NESCO, which is the National Electric Sector Cybersecurity Organization. I remembered it. Had trouble there for a while remembering that acronym. And there are several focuses of that entire work effort. What EPRI's focus is, as the awardee, is to really look at a lot of the R&D topics. Many of the topics will be raised by the NESCO side of it and the work that they're doing with utilities and different organizations. So we will be supporting them on the R&D side, looking at some of the vulnerability work, that there needs to be R&D in that area. Standards and gaps, I think everybody's raised that one. Also looking at the landscape and so on. We're like everybody else. We just recently received the funding on that. But EPRI has coordinated with 17 different organizations, private sector, labs, and so on, to support this whole initiative. I know people keep asking, okay, there are all these different efforts that are going on, and also we're involved in the Cypress work on the key management. And under the CSWG, we have the Design Principles Group that's looking at some of this. It is a small community. We all know each other and work together. So we definitely are coordinating what we're doing across all of these different projects. There's plenty of work to do.
Thank you very much, Annabelle. Seth?
So Energy Sector Security Consortium received $5.8 million last year as part of the grant to set up the National Electric Sector Cybersecurity Organization. I got it right, too. NESCO, it's an acronym only the government can love.
It's pronounceable.
It's pronounceable, at least. There's no Q. Anyway, Energy Sec has been in operation since roughly 2004, and the nice thing about the grant is that it allows us to continue the work that we've done since then in information sharing, grassroots information sharing, and involving the industry in some real discussions about security. We're focused really on three main We've got 8 initiatives, but they're in 3 main groupings. Primary among them is information sharing. So where that extends into threat and vulnerability notification and situational awareness, those are our other 2 sort of main thrusts. We want to continue to get actionable information into the hands of security practitioners in the industry as quickly as possible. Where we have to sacrifice a little accuracy to do so, we'll make that determination. But it's more important to get the information out there to the people who can analyze it and act on it very quickly. And so our focus is to build the systems and the processes in order to enable that and to enable the subsequent discussion around emerging security issues. To that effort, we have set up, we received funding and our contract was signed as of September 30th of last year. And so since then, we've roughly doubled our initial membership, or our starting membership there. We've got about 540 people as of this morning, representing 158 organizations. About 90% of those are asset owners. The rest are government, law enforcement, PUCs, regulators, other folks, and there are different compartments where discussion takes place. So there's a place where asset owners can talk freely without worrying that the regulators are hearing what they're saying. Those members include also some external groups that are not affiliated with EnergySec, such as the ICS JWG. We host their collaboration portal as well. The membership represents roughly 61% of nameplate generation in the United States and 76% of the distribution. And again, those numbers are current as of last week. We have 6 interest groups that are going on right now, and I think they deserve a mention because they're part of the answer to what have we accomplished. We have the open source interest group, intrusion detection, security architecture, workforce development, threat assessment, and forensics. And these interest groups are active. We have contacts on our website if you're interested in joining, and they're pretty much open. So if you do have an interest, please see the website for the schedule. We also, as part of our outreach, we have town halls, and our next town hall meeting is April 27th in Austin, hosted by ERCOT, and August 17th is the second one in Bellevue, Washington, hosted by Puget Sound Energy. So we're getting out there. We're doing Voice of the Industry meetings. We had one here a couple days ago. And we want to ensure that the industry has a voice and they're not being dictated to by regulators or vendors for standards or products. We want to make sure that the users and the people who are going to be, if you will, stuck with the technology have a say in how it's developed and deployed.
Thank you very much. Sure.
Well, I'm Craig Miller from NRECA, and we have a $70 million grant specifically to deploy about 275,000 smart grid components in 13 states among 24 cooperatives. It's a pretty complicated project because we have a lot of actors involved. We're about 1/3 of the way through the procurement phase, so we're doing well. And we're under budget and ahead of schedule, which is, so take note of that, my DOE.
Wow.
Okay. We're doing good. Now, numerically, there's an awful lot of smart meters because smart meters are cheap. So if you take our 275, we've got a lot of smart meters. But about 1/3 of the entire project is actually related to distribution automation. We're doing advanced MDMs, SCADA systems, new generation, mostly swapping out old ones, conservation voltage reduction, reclosers, synchrophasers, and on our own nickel, some storage, including compressed air and advanced flow batteries. So we're doing well. The interesting thing here everybody cares about is cybersecurity. And as noted right up front from William, that doing something securely, doing our work securely, was part of the grant. It was actually 20% of the award. And we looked at it and said, well, dang, we can't deploy anything securely. You know, we're just the rural hicks here, so we can't figure this out. So what are we going to do? And what we did was, I think, a practical solution. And by the way, one of the people, the smartest people I know, Joshik from Vermont, is here, so he knows that I don't really think we're dumb. I had to say that because Joshik's here. What we said was that nobody at this point no matter how sophisticated you are, can say you're secure, and that nobody can give me a static definition of what secure means. So we decided to go all the way back to the first, and in my opinion, the only real book ever written on management, Deming's book called Management, in which he defined excellence as a metric for your performance and not an end state. So we proposed, and DOE accepted, that what we would do is work with all of our co-ops to develop a continuous improvement program that could be sustained forever, okay? And that each of our co-ops had to develop one, and that based on that collective knowledge, we would prepare guidance documents that were available to anybody and anyone, okay? So we read NISTR 7628, and it was an extraordinary piece of work. But it's 600 pages, and what it doesn't say to a guy in the trenches is, cool, I understand everything, what do I do? And what we were working on is the what do you do? So what we have done so far is we have developed the required DOE documentation, the cybersecurity plan, interoperability and cybersecurity plan. We then developed a very detailed, about 150-page, that's a factor for improvement, instruction on what to do at your co-ops. We have prepared a templated plan so that you start literally filling your information in to this template and attaching other exhibits. And we are starting a series of master classes for co-ops on how to do this. And we were going to have 25 people through this completely with the plans in place by April 15th, okay? So the middle of April, we will have continuous improvement plans based on NISTR 7628 and other documentation in place at 25 co-ops, at which point we will review all of the materials and improve them based on their experience and make available to everyone. Another thing that we've done is we went and hired as a subcontractor, a pretty good security firm that has a lot of experience in device level security, and I said, tell me if these devices are secure. And they went out and started asking questions of all kinds of people making devices, and they came back and said, some of them may be, but we cannot attest to the security of any of the components. Now, our model is that you need secure components organized into secure systems, operating in secure organizations, dealing with other secure organizations, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our foundation layer components, we were not sure of. Okay, they weren't tested by an independent entity. There's no seal of approval on them. We had no insight into their supply chain or their secure software development practices. So, to address that, we've engaged with a lot of people and said, can we please build a laboratory that would test these things, okay, jointly? But that's taking a long time to develop. In the meantime, we have written up a series of questions which we believe that should be included in every request for proposal for any component being deployed by any electric utility to ask very specific things about the secure practices of the component developers. Now, everybody can come up with a set of questions. My smart colleagues and the legendary Annabelle Lee, I'm sure she and her crew could come up with a much more interesting set. But we'd like everybody to get together on this because it's really hard for the technology vendors to answer these questions. And if there were a common set that they could answer and keep on the shelf, that would be good. So we are addressing the two layers, secure systems and secure organizations, through a continuous improvement program and have templates for that document. And we have, at the component level, guidance we believe should be included in every single procurement. So we're going to fulfill, through the execution of these individual improvement plans, all of our DOE requirements, and it will be out of the central project team's responsibility by April 15th and in the hands of the individual co-ops. So that's what we're doing.
Well, that's actually great, and I want to say that there are several NIST working groups and OpenSG working groups that would heartily welcome your participation. You seem
Got
to,
it.
and I'm gonna hold you to that. I'm
You
gonna come
bet.
after you and say, you gotta be part of these working groups, testing and certification, design principle, and several OpenSG groups. Great.
Without a doubt, NRECA and CRN want to be in that.
Absolutely.
So,
Great. Well, thank you very much. So this all sounds really great. I mean, doesn't it? I mean, sounds like it's a good use of our money, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Can I say one other thing?
Oh, go ahead.
Anybody in this room who wants any of our documents can have it, anything. That's our view. We want to give it to everybody. And if you come back and tell us what's wrong with it, we'll love you, all right? So, please excuse me.
Great. I'm sure we would welcome that, absolutely.